Welcome to Stick to FPL, the Premier Fantasy League podcast.
Coming up on today's show,
Salah and Haaland, they're the two top scoring players in FPL so far, but are they essential?
Arsenal fixtures are strange. Is this the storm before the calm?
There are players that you're thinking about selling, but should you actually keep them?
Some injury news from the England camp.
We'll be talking all things Game Week 4 Wildcard.
And finally, we're going to reveal our teams for this game week.
Let's get started. Hello, Sim. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, thank you, mate. Good game week? 3?
Up until about 4:30 on Sunday, it was going very well.
Mr. Mo Salah, by any chance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of more Salah, heartache, unfortunately, but we move.
Relatable. We'll certainly be talking about him today. But the first thing I want to talk about is actually how last game week 3, really felt like a week where patience was rewarded. And I wonder if we could take any learnings from that moving into future weeks. Because last week, the two most popular, most sold players in game week 3, ahead of game week 3, were Isak and Eze. We're talking like 1 million transfers out for each of these players. And what do we know? Both score, both get 3 bonus points
Max
each.
bonus.
Which is nuts. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we spoke about last week how we thought that these were players that you probably could afford to keep, particularly Eze. And I know I didn't shut up about that last game week, but hopefully, like, people understand why I was so passionate about that one, because I really did feel he would do well. And he's got Leicester next.
Do you feel vindicated?
You know what? I feel like a weight is lifted off my shoulder in many ways, because I went in hard on that opinion. So it's kind of like, if that went wrong and Eze dropped another like 2-pointer, I would be in big trouble.
You know what? That's exactly how I feel every time Rico Lewis is on the team sheet.
Yeah. Because one day he will get dropped, for sure. But no, certainly from what we know, last game week, you know who predicted?
I was going to say, weren't they top of the charts?
You know what? Fantasy Football Hub predicted it.
What is going on?
They knew these players were going to score well. People were selling them. People didn't listen to the algorithms and the data. And what happens? They lose out. So guys, this is your weekly reminder to support the sponsors of our podcast. Not for us, but for you, because you're missing out on FPL points if you don't have the data in hand. There's still 50% off Fantasy Football Hub right now. So what are you waiting for? Get involved. Download.
Isn't that running out?
What? No. We've still got 50% off. Yeah.
It's running out soon.
It's running out very soon, yes.
I heard through the grapevine.
Yeah.
There's about a week left.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, well, get a move on then, guys, if you want to get that 50% off. Yeah, links everywhere, Linktree, video description, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, we move on to a big topic of this week, and that's Salah and Haaland. I think everyone is thinking right now, how do we get both of these players into our team? One is no longer enough, right? But before we talk about that, guys, make sure you like and follow and subscribe to the podcast. We're getting that in there early this week, because we keep saying it at the end of podcasts. Yeah, please
follow, like, subscribe. We said listen last week. That didn't work.
Yeah, no. Well, people listen.
Rate
if you like.
Rate at least 3 stars minimum.
Minimum 3 star. I would prefer 5 stars, but I'll take a 3.
I'm not greedy. You know, do what you gotta do, king or queen.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do, so long as you rate us. And, you know, if you enjoyed the show, welcome. Let's get into it. Salah and Haaland is... You know what I hate about Salah?
Go on.
He's probably the best ever FPL asset, right?
There is no doubt about that at this point.
And whilst he is prolific, he's not like... Since Haaland's joined the league, I think Haaland's got like twice as many goals as him or something stupid like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Salah's like maybe 30, 40 points less than him.
Yeah, it's close between the two over the last couple of seasons.
Haaland is... Salah just... He just gets points.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know. He's so annoying. Like, oh my God.
Because he's a midfielder. He gets that extra point for a goal,
Yeah.
and he's more creative than Haaland as well. He gets the extra point when Liverpool keep a clean sheet. So it's like, yes, Haaland's probably scoring more goals, but in FPL terms, this is why midfielders are always the top scoring assets, because they have a natural advantage in the game of FPL. But as of right now for this season, they're both on identical points. So both on 41 points.
Record-breaking amounts for 3 game weeks, by the way.
Is that right? Really?
For both of them. Like, no one's ever done 41 in 3 game weeks.
That is nuts.
In the first 3 game weeks, I should say.
And you know what? They are both massively overperforming. Like, this is incredibly unusual, and it's quite frankly not sustainable. And I think I'm going to read out some stats, but of course I am. But it should definitely be said that yes, Salah and Haaland are way above all other players seemingly at the moment in FPL, but that is kind of an anomaly.
Well, they're on track for 520 points.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. Like, what's the record? Like 315 points from a player?
And it was Mo Salah.
Yeah. Or was it Luis Suarez that season? Or did Salah beat him?
Salah's beat him.
Fair.
Salah's beat him.
But yeah, this is not sustainable.
Definitely.
They're not going to get 500 points in the season. Looking through Salah's stats to start us off, 1.71 XG, 3 goals. 1.03 expected assists, 3 assists. So big overperformance there. And Haaland not really generating any XA, really. But in terms of XG, 3.62 for the season so far, 7 goals. So they're both their output is double their expected numbers, and no player in the history of football has ever sustained those kind of numbers. So unless you are literally saying Salah and Haaland are the 2 greatest footballers to ever live, it's not sustainable, and it's going to regress to, those statistics a little bit more. Your immediates?
I hate that I agree with you, but I don't agree with you from a data point. I mean, the question here being, should you have both of them in your team?
Yeah.
Or is the question here, will they carry on doing what they're doing? Because obviously won't carry on doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they are both in blistering form. But the really bad thing that you have with form, which data can't tell you, right, is when a player is in brilliant form and overperforming their data by a significant amount, that will revert to the mean. But when will it revert to the mean?
Because form breeds form, right?
Yeah. So if they pop another 35 points in the next 3 game weeks together each, we're going to be sat here 3 game weeks from now saying it won't continue. It's impossible.
That is a super valid point.
But you'll be 35 points behind.
Yeah.
So it's really annoying. My only thing for why I still am dying on the hill of you can't have Salah and Haaland, which gets sillier and sillier every week I say it.
Yeah.
Is it just your team structure can't cope. I mean, imagine this week, this week Saka should have hauled.
Yeah, he absolutely should have.
He picked up 6 points, no bonus, 1 assist, and he missed about 3 big chances.
Yeah, I think his XG for game week 3 was close to 1.
Yeah. So he should have scored, which would have put him on 11 without bonus and 14 with bonus.
Yes, that's right.
You know what I mean? And that's what, 3 points less than Salah got? So there'll be, like, Cole Palmer, he only got an assist this game week. Didn't he hit the post or something?
He wasn't super great from a shooting perspective last week. He created a lot. I think he was playing a little bit deeper, certainly in the first half of the game.
I feel like he
memory
missed a
serves.
chance, but maybe I'm misremembering. But either way, Cole Palmer's not gonna blankety blank every game week.
No.
And the problem that you have is, whilst Haaland and Salah are the most reliable in their positions 2 points, there is still plenty to be had for 4 to 5 million less, which will get you almost similar amount of points that justifies the 4 million less. So I still don't think you should have both of them. And if I was wildcarding, I still wouldn't have both of them.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I disagree on that point. I think there's definitely room to have both. I think it can be done. Now we're a couple of weeks in, we've kind of identified a lot of cheaper players that can enable a little bit more to spend more money on a Haaland or Salah. I definitely think it can be done, and I wouldn't blame anyone for doubling up. But I think going back to the point, and where I definitely agree with you, is that, yes, right now, Salah and Haaland are way above Saka and Palmer, who are the 3rd and 4th highest scoring players in FPL. That gap will close. Right now, Salah and Haaland, they seem like they're miles ahead. That won't be forever. So, yes, people are probably down on Saka, down on Palmer, want to remove them to get Salah in their team or to get Haaland in their team. And that's fair enough. But the gap will close a little bit, at least.
The way the gap closes, by the way, isn't Salah gets 5 points, Saka gets 6 points. The way the gap closes is Saka gets 15 points.
Yes,
Salah gets 1.
Which will happen. And, you know, Haaland's playing Arsenal in a couple of weeks. So might be a 2-pointer there.
That's what I'm saying. So stuff like that will happen. And like so many people are like freaking out, breaking apart the team, popping wildcards in game week 4, like trying to get these two in their team. But the points have gone.
Yeah, they are. But I think you're being a little harsh on the having both.
I don't know. It still just doesn't. It doesn't work for me.
Really?
It really doesn't.
Are you not worried you're being a bit stubborn and maybe you should be a bit more like open-minded to the idea of it?
It's fair. It's fair. It's a fair point. If okay, it's a fair point. Maybe I am being stubborn to the idea. I think you can obviously have a team which works well in terms of balance if you incorporate your Semenyos, ESRs, Rico Lewis's, Robinsons, you know, João Pedro's. You can make it work. I just think, number one, those players will eventually come to a tougher fixture run, and you're going to have to move them. And there's not many options in there. Like, João Pedro's replacement is who?
Yeah, it's no one. You're going to have to downgrade someone. But you could feasibly downgrade Salah to Saka in game week 6 when Arsenal have those like 3 really good fixtures in a row. You could take Salah for now and then move him on later. Would cover you for a captain in game week 5 when Arsenal play Man City. It would work. I tell you what, I've got a wildcard team and also a lot of people wildcarding in game week 6 so they can reverse it. Yeah. But I have got a wildcard draft for you later, and it does have both of them. Wait for that. Let me know what you think. Okay. If you think at that point, this still is not working for me, completely fair enough. But I think you can be convinced.
You won't have Saka in it, though?
No, I won't have Saka, no. Yeah. No, but you'll see. You'll see. It's decent. It's decent. Anyway, next up, I do want to talk about Arsenal a little bit here. Because they're a team who obviously have some horror fixtures in the next 2.
Horror. I don't know about all that.
Look.
I don't know about all that.
What I've heard from the people is that the FPL fixture rating is everything. It's gospel. If it's red, it is very bad. You know, it's a traffic light system. If it's red, you stop. You stop buying those players. And if it's green, go ahead.
You know, people pronounce the Spurs manager's name wrong.
Postecoglou?
That's not how it's pronounced.
Go on.
I mean, it's pronounced points gifter.
Points gifter?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what they do, because they gift points. And that's what Spurs will be doing, I'm sure. They give you chances, and Arsenal will bury them. I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win, but there's going to be lots of goals in that game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a huge problem with the fixture difficulty rating on the general FPL website, is it doesn't account for attacking difficulty versus defensive difficulty. Arsenal versus Spurs is a great fixture if you're an Arsenal attacker. It's a pretty bad fixture if you're an Arsenal defender, because Spurs are a super attacking team and they do leave gaps and they can be exploited. Yeah. Now,
no clean sheets.
I've got something for you. Saka, last season.
Oh, I thought you had like a gift, bro.
No, this is not a gift. Well, it's a gift of information. Saka scored against Spurs twice last season, once in each game.
There we go.
Bonus in each.
There we go. And he's not in your wildcard draft.
No, it's not.
There we go.
No.
I mean, to be fair, Salah's got a brilliant fixture too, but I mean, didn't our data from last week say Nottingham Forest are the third best defense in the league?
Yeah, and their defensive numbers are still good, by the way.
Are they still the third best defense in the league?
I don't know if they're the first best. I will verify that now.
Look, this is my thing. Like, there you go. So, which narrative are you gonna buy?
Well, Nottingham Forest have had easy fixtures. Like, let's nip that one in the bud. But I do agree that people are overrating Forest as a fixture for Salah.
Listen, ever since you said it, I feel like I'm being a hater now. Like,
you are a hater.
Like, I understand why people are going for Salah. It feels right, but it's like having a double espresso in the morning. It feels good, but it's not good for you in the long run.
I see. I don't
know
drink
what I
coffee,
mean?
so I can't relate. But
Okay, it's like having a croissant in the morning.
there's nothing wrong. Is there something wrong with having a croissant in the morning?
It feels good, but it's not good for you in the long run.
I'm more of a pan au chocolat guy anyway.
That's even worse.
Oh my word.
A minute on the hips, a pound on the lips.
Doesn't sound right.
That's how it goes.
Okay.
That's how it goes. But my point being, like, it feels good now to have Haaland and Salah in your team, and you're thinking, oh, points are coming.
Yeah.
But one of them is gonna blank,
Yeah, they will for sure.
and other players are gonna pop, and it's just, I don't know.
And
But maybe I'll be vindicated like Eze and Isak on as well. We'll see.
maybe, yeah. I don't feel as strongly on this one. I think Salah might punish that opinion. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Nottingham Forest still third in the table for expected goals conceded. 2.6 expected goals conceded, only beaten by Liverpool and Man City, who are both on 2.2 expected goals conceded so far this season. And they're way out in third as well, which is pretty crazy. But it's only been 3 games. I can't take too much from this. But yeah, certainly Nottingham Forest this is not an easy fixture. This is not like, oh yeah, Salah's going to score a hat-trick against Forest.
Salah don't do hat-tricks.
No, he doesn't.
He gets 17 points the hard way.
Yeah. 1 goal and 10 assists per game and 100 bonus points. It feels like when you don't own him every game.
What does he just get? So many.
Bonus point system this season has helped him a little bit. But anyway, we're not meant to be talking about Salah. We're meant to be talking about Arsenal and their great fixtures after game week 5. So, okay, you have Saka. You have, for example, if you have Saka, you have Gabriel, you have Havertz in your team. What are you thinking over the next 2? First of all, if you're wildcarding in 6 anyway, do you just sell those Arsenal players over Spurs and City, or do you wait until after Spurs, keep your Saka or your Havertz for Spurs?
I mean, if you're wildcard, that's a good point actually. If you're wildcarding in 6, I feel like you can punt, right? You can punt a Robbo or a Trent here for your Arsenal defender because the likelihood of a Spurs and a clean sheet against Spurs and City is quite low, particularly away from home. So I'd be all for losing your Arsenal defenders, but I feel like unless you're wildcarding in 6, I would not be losing Arsenal players. That's the only way I'd be losing my Arsenal players. With teams like Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool's, they're not like teams that I'd be that obsessed with the fixtures about.
Yeah.
I'm more like focused on the fixtures when I'm targeting like a Eze or like a Semenyo or like a Smith Rowe. When I'm targeting like some of these weaker teams, like City or Arsenal can go anywhere and just do anyone in. You know what I mean?
And they can keep clean sheets as well. Arsenal are a team who are, in a way, fixture-proof defensively. I mean, they kept at least 1 clean sheet against City last season. Was it even 2? Was it even? There you go. Yeah. So if you are selling Arsenal assets against Man City, well, defenders against Man City, is there a clean sheet there potentially? Because those are low-scoring games.
Yeah, the only way I'd sell is if it was wildcard, because then you're talking a very closed set of probabilities, right? And I'd play that bet, but I wouldn't do it if I was like, oh, hop on and hop off with transfers and stuff.
Yeah.
No chance.
I think to summarize, the thinking probably is that if you have other moves in mind, if you desperately want a Salah, or you want to try Robertson for a couple of weeks before a wild card, or you have a move in mind that you really want a player and someone has to be sacrificed, I think you could probably do worse than selling an Arsenal defender, or maybe not like a Saka or maybe a Havertz ahead of Spurs and Man City. But this is the problem. Spurs is a good fixture for your attackers, but bad for your defenders. Man City away
is bad for everything.
It's bad for everything, but it is better for your defenders than your attackers, most likely, because that fixture has a history of being low scoring.
Yeah.
So, you kind of lose on both accounts, but I don't know. They're not priority sales. Arsenal players are not priority sales.
The more challenging question is, how many Arsenal do you pick up on wildcard?
3, without a shadow of a doubt. Leicester, Southampton, and Bournemouth in 6 through 8.
Now.
Oh, if you were to wildcard now, for me, a lot of people are saying 0, by the way, and I don't agree with that.
Pick up 3 Arsenal players by game week 6?
Yeah, this is it. If you're wildcarding now, you don't get another wildcard in game week 6, and you can say, oh, I'm going to roll my transfers. people, game week 1, we said, oh yeah, 5 transfers. We're all going to roll all the way to game week 5. No transfer spent. Things come up. Things change. You use those transfers, man. So, yeah, you are going to have other issues in your team if you wildcard now and you don't have any Arsenal players, and you're not necessarily going to have those spare transfers to get those Arsenal players. And then what?
Well, we're going to see your wildcard later on in the show, so we'll see how many Arsenal players you've got.
It has Arsenal players in. Okay. It does. I think minimum 1. I can make an argument for 2, and I will.
I guess it depends on the Saka Haaland situation, but having both, you'd probably have a defender, and having 1, you'd definitely have an attacker.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think 1 makes sense, and you'll have 2 by game week 6.
Yeah, but mate, I think you want 3 by game week 6.
You're not going to spend your 2 free transfers. What you're saying? Roll a transfer, then pick up 2 Arsenal players in game week 6.
I think by game week 6, no matter what your plan is, no matter what your strategy is, 3 Arsenal players for Leicester at home and Southampton at home is almost essential, because these are like 5-0 games, like genuinely. Well, maybe not necessarily. I mean, Arsenal last season, these kind of games were 5-0 games, 6-0 games.
Respectfully to Leicester and Southampton, 5-0 respectfully.
But anything less than 3-0, you'd be disappointed.
Yeah, it's points. It's points there, isn't it?
There are huge points here, so it has to be done. It really, really does. But anyway, we'll move on from that, and we'll have a look at the most sold players of the week. And I don't think we need to go through all of them, but I'll list out the most sold players of the week, and then we'll just pick out some that we think that maybe should be kept. So as of time of recording this episode, the most sold players are Isak, Watkins, Saka, Gvardiol, Gordon, Diogo Jota, Solanke, Foden. Sim, you look so confused as I'm saying these names.
How is
it's
Isak
mad, isn't it?
Still the highest sold player?
It's mad. Foden, Pedro Porro, Saliba, Muniz, Erdegaard. And there are some huge names and very decent football players in that list.
Listen, all I know is all praise the GOAT of avoiding price drops, my Don Solanke. He is the guy who has been keeping my team value afloat.
He's going to 8.4, my friend. There is no shadow of doubt about that.
He's been 7.5 since the game started.
Solanke.
Solanke.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking of Isak.
No, he hasn't dropped at all.
Yeah, I know. It's an absolute scam.
Yeah, listen, I love him. He ain't leaving my team still. He's been sat on my bench for weeks.
I'm actually really curious to see what you're going to be doing about Solanke, but we'll talk about that when we do your team. But it's all big players. I can certainly see what's going on here. And what's happening, you see Isak, Watkins, Saka, top 3 most sold players. You know exactly what's happening. People are downgrading downgrading Isak and Watkins to João Pedro, freeing up that budget to upgrade Saka to Salah. And millions of people will do that this week. They will. And I don't hate it, particularly if you're wildcarding in 6. I don't hate it.
I hate it.
Well, even if you're wildcarding in 6.
You're wildcarding in 6,
So you bring your Arsenal players back? So you bring Saka back in 6?
Selling Saka before Spurs? I don't know, man.
Well, like we said, he scored there against them twice last season.
I feel like... I don't know. Oops. I don't know. Selling... For 2 free transfers, Isak and... Okay, if you're selling Watkins, who's he got? He's got a good fixture.
Yeah, he does.
So does Isak, though, actually, doesn't he?
Yeah, so Watkins plays against Everton at home and Isak plays against Wolves away.
Yeah, Wolves away.
Both good fixtures. And Saka plays against Spurs. We've got Gvardiol after that. He plays against Brentford at home. Gordon plays against Wolves. Diogo Jota plays against Nottingham Forest. You know, these are transfers out that really can punish you.
Yeah,
really punish you.
This is all Salah knee-jerking.
100%.
Yeah.
But can you blame people? And you know as well as I do, if you don't have Salah, he has punished you so far this season, and he causes that depression on a Sunday night. You think your game week is going so well, and it gets to Sunday night, Liverpool are on. Oh man. This was a great game week until this Egyptian man.
You thought you were safe.
Yeah, until this Egyptian man comes in and ruins your weekend. And some people are just saying, no more. I will not have it anymore. They're the end. No, I can't deal with it. I think people can handle Saka getting a couple of goals because it's Saka, you know. he's not as.
He got a 17-point haul. That's not likely to continue happening.
It can happen. Like, you know,
What, he's going to pop 17 again?
if Salah got a goal and an assist against Nottingham Forest this game week,
14.
would you be surprised by that? Not one bit.
No, I wouldn't.
Exactly. 14 points is a lot of points. If Salah scores 14 points and Saka scores 2 points in game week 4, would you be surprised by that? No. It is so feasible. And I think
But would you be stunned if it was the other way around?
I would be more so stunned, yeah. I would be more stunned if it was the other way around. Now, I think the debate comes in when we look at Isak and Watkins down to João Pedro. Because as we've seen,
Well, JP plays Ipswich.
but Ipswich are not that bad. Where they were in the first 2 game weeks because they had the 2 most horror fixtures in the entire universe. But game week 3, when they played against Fulham, actually showed, no, this team's not that bad. You know, so...
It's interesting. The only way I see it is if you're wildcarding in 6. That's the only way. It's the only way this makes sense. Or if you're wildcarding now. And even if you're wildcarding now, I'd be a little bit suspicious. Like, Diogo Jota's still a brilliant option.
Yeah, but he blanked last week and people's patience is short.
After the international break, he might be a little bit suspect. But,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Interesting. I've got an interesting point on Jota, actually. Obviously, he didn't do too well against Manchester United. But there was an interview with Slot, and he basically said that they were looking really to exploit the wings against Manchester United, and therefore, naturally, Jota was not going to be as involved in that game, which is why we've seen such a drop-off of his numbers and how good he looked in Manchester United versus the other fixtures where he looked far more involved, far more direct. So I think it was just a tactical thing. So I just wanted to say, like, don't panic on Jota too much. This is not a case of him suddenly being bad. It was a tactical change for that specific game. And in the next game week, that might again change.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? So you're saying you would basically keep all of these players? Gvardiol? Against Brentford and then Arsenal?
I wouldn't be selling Gvardiol.
No.
No.
I'd keep Isak. I'd keep Watkins. I'd keep Saka. Gvardiol, maybe not. I'd consider selling Gordon. I wouldn't sell Jota. I'd obviously sell Solanke if I needed to. I'd lose Foden. I'd lose Porro. I'd possibly lose Saliba. I'd definitely lose Muniz.
You definitely lose Muniz.
I wouldn't be fussed about keeping him. Like, I'd be happy to move him on.
I think you could just bench him, to be fair. He's cheap enough. You just if you've got Rodgers.
If you've got bench cover, yeah.
Yeah, you've got Rodgers. You just bench Muniz if you're unhappy with him.
Rodgers is a little bit annoying me a little bit, but it's not him, it's Watkins.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Watkins is robbing Rodgers of assist points. He really is at the moment. It's quite mad. But there we go. So, yeah. A couple other players, by the way, that people are selling who aren't on the top list, but I know people are selling them because they're on like the second page. Smith Rowe.
Already?
Yeah.
Blanked once.
Look, as we know in FPL, people don't have patience sometimes. But at the same time, Smith Rowe didn't have a great game.
Yeah. But you hear what I'm saying about Semenyo? You see what I told you? He's the best at that price range.
No, 100% agreed. Yeah, I really liked the Semenyo pick last week, and he proved that right. And I think he'll do it again, to be honest.
Semenyo's a good pick. Oh, but there's no point selling Smith Rowe. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's a little soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Like, he blanked against Ipswich, and that's it.
Yep, you're done.
You're done.
You're done. You're gone.
Was his stats very bad?
They weren't great, to be honest, mate. I mean, I can tell you now if you would like to know. Smith Rowe in game week 3 specifically.
Are you checking the Fantasy Football Hub Opta tool?
Oh, always. So Smith Rowe, 2 shots, 0 key passes, 0.17 XG. Yeah, there you go.
Wasn't great.
It's not good. That's not great.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm a little bit suspect about Smith Rowe anyway, right? Like, what's his season numbers? Because I'm sure
Again, not great.
I'm sure they're not good.
No, not great. So he has got 0.7 XG all season. He's only taken 4 shots all season and still yet to register a key pass.
That's what I'm saying. Like Smith Rowe is a little bit suspicious. He's on the fraud watch.
Yeah, I get that.
He's on the fraud watch.
But also, I feel like he's that player who produces a moment of magic.
Yeah. He's a
Where-
bit like a Eze, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
His goals are going to be nice.
Yeah, so you're going to get something out of nothing from him occasionally, and you don't really know when that's going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, his numbers aren't great. One other player who I wanted to mention before we move on of players who are heavily sold is Bruno Fernandes.
Bomb him.
You would get rid of him?
Get rid.
No.
Get rid.
Southampton at home.
I don't
You
care.
mad?
Get rid. Listen, you gotta cut
No,
your
Southampton
losses.
away, sorry.
You gotta cut. Sell Bruno, go to Salah. Sell Watkins and Bruno, go to Salah. Do it.
Mate, listen.
I'm all over it.
Right. We're going to use the same logic as we applied to Eze last week, where Eze's numbers were fantastic. Bruno's numbers are nuts.
No. Sometimes you have to use brain and eyes.
Use your brain and eyes.
Brain and eyes. You
What's
have
the
to-
chances that Bruno's missing?
Listen, Bruno. All I'm saying is, Bruno's a sell. United have a problem.
In this fixture,
Southampton aren't like
oh, they're pretty bad.
they're bad for a
pretty
team that
bad.
can press well. United are not that. They ain't got it in them.
I don't know. From what I've seen so far in the Premier League, Southampton are that whipping boy team.
All right, side bet.
Yeah, go on.
Bruno blank. $5.
I'm not a gambling man, unfortunately.
Okay, no gambling, but a lot of I told you so next week.
Okay, a lot of I told you so next week.
Bruno blank.
Okay, right. A 60-second roast of the other person.
I could do a 60-second roast.
Okay, so I will roast you for 60 seconds on how stupid you are if you're wrong, and vice versa.
Done deal.
Go on. Bruno's getting something. And this is a goal or an assist, by the way. He's getting something.
Okay, I'm gonna say
You take 3 points or less, I'll take 4 points or more.
no, because that's a very low threshold. I'm gonna say 6 or less.
Oh, we're already shaken for a start. On
Okay,
a goal
no,
or
but
assist.
yeah, we shook on a blank, but let's clarify here because I feel like if you're a Bruno owner
Okay,
and you pocket 6 in game week 4, having had all this, you'd be fuming.
Well, yeah, probably. But
So,
I mean,
so I'm going 6 or less.
no, the bet's off.
All right,
What if
five or less.
I want 5 or more. Because 5 or more is a return. It means he's got an assist in that game. Because you're not getting 5 points realistically without an assist. And that's a return. And that's what we shook on. So it's already done. So I don't even know
right,
why
all
this
right,
discussion is
all right,
happening.
all right.
He's getting something against Southampton. 100%.
Watch him get an assist to the yellow card.
Oh, no, don't. 4 point. I'll be
There's
ruined.
no way they keep a clean sheet.
I'll be ruined. You ruined me. But there we go. I think I would personally keep Fernandes unless he is the only way for you to get like Salah or Haaland in. That'd be the only exception there, really. I think because I think
I'd happily do Salah to Bruno to Palmer. I'd happily.
Would you?
I'd happily do Bruno, like for.
which you'd take 2 million out the rest of your team to upgrade Bruno to Palmer because you'd have to downgrade someone else.
Yeah, but you got.
Would that be worth it?
Yeah. Genuinely, I think United are like a. You don't touch them right now.
No, you don't buy them necessarily.
Yeah, and you keep them out of your team. They're like a poison. They spread bad vibes in your FPL.
They poison the rest of your players.
Exactly. Suddenly, the guy to the left is missing his
Yeah.
chances. It's no, I'm not having it.
I wonder if there's any logic in that. Like when you set up your FPL team, the players next to Fernandes, are they like lower scoring? Like, has anyone got Salah next to Fernandes, like in their FPL team sheet? Or is actually Salah is like out in the wide area and Fernandes is on the other side? So they're far enough away where you could still get your Salah points.
I tried
it
I tried to keep my positions like positionally. In real
Really?
life. Like if I had Salah, I'll put him on the right wing.
That's so long though, because you got to like switch it back and forth to try and get it right. I'm like, you must spend like half an hour a week doing that.
I mean, it's whenever I get around to it. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a massive waste of time, but you do you. Well, actually, it's not a massive waste of time if you've got Fernandes in your team, because you need to keep him the hell away from your Salahs and your Haalands, or they're going to start blanking soon.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. There's been some news coming from the England camp. Look, I'm just reporting the news story here. And England have basically said an update from St George's Park as Cole Palmer, Ollie Watkins and Phil Foden withdraw from the three-line squad. Speedy recovery, lads, with a fist bump emoji.
It's really nice of the England Twitter account to show us clearly which one of those is real or which one of those is fake by tagging the real one.
What? But okay. But they're all real, right?
Excuse me?
What do you mean they're all real?
They're not. Cole Palmer's not injured.
How do you know?
Neither is Ollie Watkins. Phil Foden's in the hospital, so fair enough.
I mean, I can see quite clearly that the official England account, they would not do us like that, would they?
Cole Palmer is even like training in the picture that they've posted.
Okay.
They couldn't get a fake picture with a cast.
Maybe he got injured later on in the day.
No, look, come on, man.
Maybe he tripped on his way out of the field. Tripped on the curb.
Maybe he didn't even show up to England training.
There's possibility of that as well.
And in fact, this is from last year.
Maybe. But I think what's most likely happening is that we've got those international duty injuries, right? Where it's like, you say you've got an injury, but like, how serious is it actually?
This is really frustrating as well because I've got tickets to England, Finland.
Have you?
Yeah, I was actually looking forward to watching Cole Palmer, but
Well, rep on that card. So, yeah, basically, there's maybe some issues. Like, we know Ollie Watkins has some minor issues, so it could just be like trying to give him a bit of a break. Maybe he's back by.
Does Ollie Watkins have minor issues?
Yes, yeah. So there was Emery said last week in a press conference that Watkins had basically come back to Villa in the lack of preseason from England, like carrying some issues, and I think that's possibly why he's taken a little while longer to get going. So,
well, he hasn't got going.
Well, no, he hasn't. Well, he got an assist last week.
Oh no, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, certainly from a goal scoring point of view,
Like the ball touched him on his way to the goal scorer.
counts. All counts the same, mate. But yeah, so I think that's why he's struggled to get going a little bit because he is not maybe. And this international break maybe is the time he needs to kind of get back to business, if you like. Phil Foden, as we know, has got like a stomach issue.
It must be serious.
It must be quite bad, yeah.
Must be stuck in the hospital.
Yeah, don't know. Maybe a stomach ulcer, something like that. Those kind of things can be quite bad. But you would imagine a thing like that with 2 weeks of international break, you probably good to start getting involved again for Man City afterwards. But no one owns Phil Foden anyway, so I don't know why we're talking about him on an FPL podcast.
Still won't start.
Yeah, probably not. But he'll be back soon. But Cole Palmer's the interesting one because I know nothing about it. I know about Watkins and his issues. I know about Phil Foden and his issues. I have not heard anything about Palmer. So this must be a new issue, right? Am I waffling?
Cole Palmer's fine.
Why? Yeah, but why are you saying that with such confidence?
Because he's obviously just pulled out of the squad because he can't be bothered.
But that is not allowed. You can't do that.
Come on, they do it every international break.
They do.
Come on.
Yeah, but it's like quite bad, isn't it? To pull out if you just can't be bothered to play.
It's Cole Palmer. He probably just said, "Boys, like I'm off, lads."
You're like, I'm not going to play ahead of Saka anyway because Saka's the real GOAT.
Yeah.
He knows his place in the English
Really,
squad.
Saka should be the one pulling out.
Yeah, the amount of games he plays for sure.
Yeah.
But there you go. It's information. It's out there now. You can't blame the Stick to FPL podcast for not warning you if this turns out to be true and Palmer's actually broken his tibia.
No. The whole point is you can blame the Stick to FPL podcast because we are saying that it is not true.
No, I'm not saying it's not true. You're saying it's not true. So you can blame you, but not me.
Yes. Yeah, you blame Sim.
Blame Sim.
I am saying Cole Palmer is absolutely fine.
I don't understand how you get this confidence to say such a thing with zero evidence. But I mean,
I have my evidence. He's there. He's fine. Look at the picture.
yes, but he could have got injured later on. You know what? I'm done.
He's fine in the picture. I'm going by what England said.
Whatever. Next up, wildcard. I've made a wildcard draft. I think that's probably what a lot of people have been waiting for, to be fair. So here it is. Let me read it out to you. So it is, by the way, a Salah and Haaland draft, and it's pretty good, I think. So we've got Verbruggen in goal. Now that Verbruggen has been confirmed as the starting main goalkeeper for Brighton, he's going to play every game as long as he's fit. In defence, we've got Robertson, Gabriel, and Lewis. So the three big defences really covered in that regard. In midfield, we've got Mo Salah, Eberechi Eze, Semenyo, and Rodgers. And up front, Haaland, Havertz, and Joao Pedro. Now, interestingly, on the bench, we've got Fabianski because he might do bits in the very short term. And Burmo is on the bench. So, yes, we've got Semenyo, Rodgers, Joao Pedro, but those are going to kind of be more rotation guys with Burmo, who is currently on the bench for the Man City away fixture, and then he'll come into the starting 11. We've also got Mascara as a 4 million defender for Wolves. He's getting regular game time at 4 million, which is very, very nice. And finally, Milenkovic, who is the data man. His underlying numbers are really, really good. I'm getting a lot. He's like a giant, by the way. He's like 6 foot, 100. He's enormous, and he's become that target man from those set pieces, and he's a goal waiting to happen from this Donny. But he's got Liverpool away this week, which is not great, obviously. But after that, Nottingham Forest, as we keep mentioning, pretty decent defence. Maybe they can do something. So yeah, there you go. There's a team. I think it's got a little bit of everything. What do you think? Like it?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a very good team.
Did I cook?
You cooked.
Oh,
I really like it. I was like, I don't like this until I saw Burma on the bench.
yeah, man.
And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I do like this.
Yeah, it's really not as bad as you would think, because you've got a 4.5 million goalkeeper who I think is actually pretty solid. Generally, you could have Flecken there if you would prefer, or Henderson if you prefer, which whatever. You've got Robertson. Obviously, you would prefer to have Trent, and I totally get that. But if you want Salah and Haaland, you do need to make sacrifices somewhere. It has to be somewhere. We've got Gabriel, who actually prefers to Raya in the long term, I think. Just because I'm finding it quite hard to pick out cheap defenders at the moment. Other than Robinson and Lewis to a degree, no one's really been smashing it. We spoke about Konsa, we spoke about Mikolenko pre-season.
Konsa's a no-go, man.
You know what I mean? So I think it's, in a way, a lot of people say, oh, go for Raya in goal and then go for a 4.5 million defender.
It saves you a lot of money doing it like that, though.
It saves you 0.5, but you also have to play an unreliable defender every week. And I think the difference with a goalkeeper is, even if in a poor game, in a poor fixture, whatever, you're still going to get save points. So you still have that chance. You still have the odd chance of getting that penalty save. So it doesn't matter as much in the goalkeeper position. But again, that's maybe a preference thing for me. We've got that Arsenal cover. We've got Havertz. We're ready. If you wildcard now, we spoke about being ready for game week 6 and having that triple Arsenal. You already got double right there.
What do you do in game week 6 here?
What you do in game week 6 is arguably you downgrade Salah to Saka, and then that frees up over 2 million to do something. Most likely to upgrade. Well, you can either upgrade Joao Pedro if you wanted to. You can upgrade, because that could take a Joao Pedro to a Solanke if you wanted to, or a Mateta. You could upgrade Eze up to a Fernandes or an Erdegaard. You might be able to get close to a Foden or a De Bruyne, depending on other sales. You can upgrade a Semenyo or a Rodgers if you want to as well. There's options.
But you wouldn't sell Saka before
Salah?
Wolves. Sorry, Salah before Wolves. You just wouldn't do that.
You might. You might, because the fixtures after that are not particularly good for Liverpool. So Liverpool in 6 play Wolves away, and then Crystal Palace away in 7, Chelsea at home in 8, Arsenal away in 9. I can keep going for a little bit longer because the fixtures, again, are not great. Then Brighton, Aston Villa, Southampton, which is decent to be fair, but then Man City, Newcastle, Everton, Merseyside derby. So there's no, like we've seen at the beginning of the season, a real nice run of fixtures for Liverpool. That's kind of in the past. From game week 7, really. Really.
No, it's interesting. I do really like this draft, and I'm glad you've finally come to terms with the realities of Lewis.
He right now, he is probably, in fairness, the player I like the least in this draft. But in the short term, I had to get that in. But because the only reason is because he is a transfer waiting to happen. I don't really like picking those kind of players.
A transfer waiting. Why is he a transfer waiting? He is nailed.
For how long?
He's playing 90 minutes. Gvardiol came off for Walker.
Yeah. You are right. But I mean, for how long? When we get the Champions League back in,
When we get Champions League, what comes back in, then what?
Well, then we're going to see a bit of rotation. No?
So who? when we get Champions League come back in, is Gabriel or Robertson going to get rotated?
No,
So why would Rico Lewis get rotated?
because I feel like Gabriel and Robertson have a little bit more pedigree as Premier League football players than Lewis
And I'm saying Lewis is so important to how Pep plays football
right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Until I see
How often does he switch
Pep's
it up all the
system
time?
change,
He does it all the time.
until I see Pep's system change, Rico Lewis is nailed. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But you understand, we spoke about this earlier, you understand that Lewis at a certain point is going to be, he's not going to play every game. He's not going to start every game.
He's probably going to miss the harder games.
Very possibly. And you might bench him there anyway.
Which is brilliant.
Which is why, by the way, we've got Milinkovic on the bench rather than another 4.0 to have that cover, right? But, yeah, but I definitely appreciate when Lewis is playing, when he's starting, he looks brilliant.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Yeah.
And that's the reason he's in this draft.
Another big chance missed.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, as soon as he puts one of these chances away and City keep a clean sheet at the same time,
15, 20 point out.
we're looking at a huge score from Lewis. We just need to make sure it happens before he gets dropped and Walker plays for the rest of the season.
I'll tell you, that's not.
But no, for sure, he's a good pick. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. But yeah,
Look, the wild card is brilliant. I didn't expect you to have double Arsenal in it. I think that's bold and I think that's clever. Eze, Semenyo, Rodgers, all great picks for this game week, obviously. Yeah, no, I mean the wild card's brilliant.
it's good.
I really like it.
97% team rating on Fantasy Football Hub as well, which shows that it's like at least very decent.
Data
Maybe
backed.
not. Yeah, it's data backed. It's maybe not data perfect, but it's certainly data backed.
You're never gonna get 100% team though.
You are, but you have to put together a very, very specific combination of players.
You have to pick the AI recommended wild card.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, which is has no Haaland in, by the way.
Exactly, because you see how crazy it is. The AI agrees with me. You can't have both. You can't have both.
The AI. Well, I won't. Obviously, I haven't got the graphic for it, but the AI team is actually pretty nice. I think it has the midfield of. I think it's something like Salah, Saka, Palmer, and Foden or De Bruyne.
No,
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Out.
Okay, you find it. Actually, I might be able to get it before you. To be fair here, but no. It really is. The midfield is so stacked. That's insane.
AI wildcard team has Salah, Eze, Saka, De Bruyne.
Okay, yeah. Still crazy stacked midfield, right?
Yeah. And then Isak, João Pedro, and Chris Wood with the defense of double Liverpool.
You know what? It's
Guardiola.
it's interesting to see that Saka and Isak are two of the most sold players of the game week, and both of them are in the data wildcard draft. It's quite nuts, isn't it?
Saka has one less predicted point for the Spurs game compared to the Leicester game in game week 7.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Well, if you're an attacker, Spurs is a good game. And honestly, like I say, Arsenal can keep a clean sheet against anyone, which is why I've got no issue with playing Gabriel over the next two if you're wildcarding now, and it means you're ahead of the game. Your game week 6.
Yeah.
I think you got to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my wildcard team. And we'll move on to something I've been waiting to talk about all week. I've been looking forward to this one, my friend. Sim has just walked off. For anyone on audio, he has walked off. He's left.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
He also said it's a disgrace. I don't know if the mic picked that up.
Oh, the cameras
Okay,
can't.
let's talk about this then.
I did a Drogba, but it was missed. Anyway,
Let's have it out.
this is a disgrace.
Okay, well, first of all, let me just explain to people what's going on. So, obviously, if you watch the podcast regularly, you'll know we do this, but each week we pick a differential who we think is going to score well that game week. In game week 3, Sim went for Trossard, who played 59 minutes, substituted for a 1-pointer. And I picked Mbermo, who scored a brace, 14-pointer, which means I'm very well in the lead. But obviously, last week it was a bit controversial because the differential we pick has to be 5% owned or less. And Mbermo was 5% owned at the time of recording. So I thought that counts. I'm allowed to pick him, right? Your thoughts? Your immediate thoughts on that particular controversy of last week?
This is shameful.
Okay.
This is in bad faith.
Bad faith. Against the spirit of the game.
Against the spirit of the game. you should ask for forgiveness from your Lord,
Yeah.
and I will be back.
Okay. Well, the points that's kind of suggesting that I like actually picked quite well. Like the proof is in the pudding.
You can't pick Mbermo.
The game,
you can't pick
the game is to pick a
Mbeumo.
player under
You
5%
can't
or under
pick
who you think is
Mbeumo.
going to score well that week. I did that, and he did.
Oh my God!
Take your L.
Listen, you cheated. We'll see who you
All
go
right.
for this
Okay,
week.
no.
We'll
Right.
see who you go
Okay.
for this week.
Okay. All right. So
We'll see who you go for
So
this
just to quote you, it was shameful to pick a player like at 5% ownership. He's in Burmo. He's like, he's too, and I should be ashamed. Like I'm a cheat, whatever. Okay, well, let's just bear that in mind as we look at your differential of game week 4. And you've just checked his ownership on your phone, haven't you? You've just checked his ownership on your phone, haven't you? Because you've realised now what is going on here. So, Stim, please introduce us to your differential of game week 4 and then tell us his ownership for game week 4 as well, please.
I'm going for the lowly owned, lesser talked about, and a bright spark that a lot of people
Say his name.
have not really been considering.
Say his name.
It's Semenyo.
Okay. And what is the ownership of Semenyo?
He's at 4.8% and he plays Chelsea at home.
And by the way, we're recording this podcast on a weird day because I'm on holiday next week. So we're still, 10, 11 days from deadline?
Yes.
And he's already jumped up to 4.8 selected.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be under 5% or over 5% by the time we hit deadline?
I said the same thing to you about Burmo. Do you think if we checked before deadline what his ownership was,
It would have been above. Yes.
There you
You're
go.
quite right. But
There
I
you
just find it a little bit hypocritical, some of those things you were saying to me. And now you've gone and done the exact same thing, essentially.
The bee buzzed and the bee bit,
That is not a phrase.
and the bee is back,
The bee's back with a bang.
and her name is Semenyo.
That is, it's just, I think you're a bit of a hypocrite, to be honest, mate. You want to have a go at me for Mbeumo and then you pull up with Semenyo in game week 4.
Mbeumo is different from Semenyo.
Oh, here we go. How?
Mbeumo is a proven FPL talisman asset.
Yeah?
Like, he is the best player from his team. He's a 150 plus point player.
Yeah.
He was over 50% ownership in the game at some point.
Yes.
Like,
So I was very clever picking him as my
no,
differential of the week last
that's
week,
not
right?
a different. Semenyo is a player. Most people who watch the Premier League don't even know who Semenyo is.
Yeah, it's probably valid, to be fair.
You know what I mean? This is a player that is actually like, I don't know Semenyo's first name. That makes him a differential.
Antoine.
Antoine. there.
What's Mbeumo's first name? You're taking L's.
Alexander.
You're actually spot on. Alexander Mbeumo. Yeah, fair play. Brian.
What, Brian? Oh no, it is Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, I know. I do know that. I do know that.
All
No,
right.
but Semenyo is an interesting one. It's a tricky fixture as well. So it makes it. I mean, you picked Mbeumo at home to Southampton. Like, come on, man. Have some shame.
No. Look, in all seriousness, we set the rule 5% on less. I think anything goes. I got no problem with you picking Semenyo.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Talk to me about Semenyo a little bit more first. Like, why have you picked him?
Listen, I've been on Semenyo in terms of as an asset since game week 1. I picked ESR over him in game week 1. Unfortunately, I wish I didn't make that decision. If I was to transfer in a midfielder in his range, Semenyo would be my pick. I just think he's brilliant. He's playing so well. Bournemouth are playing so well. I really rate Iraola, and yeah, I mean Chelsea at home. It's a fixture where they can do some damage. I think.
Yep.
I do expect Chelsea to probably score a few goals too, but hopefully Semenyo gets into some good positions.
Yep. I love this pick, by the way. I really do love this one. And by the way, just to add a stat for Semenyo, most shots in the Premier League so far. No players taken more shots than Semenyo.
Yeah.
In the 3 game weeks. All right.
He's a data
Merchant. he is an
I
ex
say black hole, but
Nah, he's nuts. Okay, so this is my one differential of game week 4. It is Minter. Okay, what's the problem with this one?
there's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead.
He's 1.7% owned, 5.5 million, plays for Brighton at home against Ipswich, which, as we kind of touched on, it's a decent fixture, but I don't think it's Southampton or Leicester level of a fixture.
I'm
It's
really,
at home,
I'm really
though.
surprised by that ownership.
Yeah. So it's super low owned. like,
Minter's not 5.5.
yes, he is. He's 5.5 million and 1.7% selected. So you've got a cheap differential here that could be really, really nice. And the fixture is, it's decent. It's a decent fixture. And he looks good so far. So just to give you some numbers on Minter, 4 shots all in the box, 0.47 XG so far this season, and made 5 key passes, 0.9 XA, and of course has got 2 assists already this season. Not scored yet, but he looks like he is knocking on the door. Maybe this could be his week. So yeah, I like this one. But
What's his XG?
0.47 so far in 3 games.
So he's not knocking the door.
I mean, look, he's almost halfway to an XG, to a G. He'll get there. He's halfway.
Okay.
He'll do the other half in the Ipswich game. Get him
Okay.
up to 1 XG, and that'll be the goal, right?
Who we said earlier in the pod are actually very good now.
I didn't say very good. I just said they're not whipping boys in the same vein as Southampton or Leicester. But they impressed me against Leicester. No, against Fulham, sorry. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. No, good pick. Good pick. Definitely a good pick. I was thinking about a Brighton asset.
Yeah.
I considered a Dingra. I also considered Duran from Villa.
Yeah, I like it.
If Ollie Watkins is actually
Yeah.
injured, he's not. But yeah, it's I don't know. I thought I'd go for the minutes.
Yeah, no, fair. I like both our picks this week. I think we're onto something good here. I think we'll both get something.
Points on the board.
I think we'll both get points on the board. But if I'm totally honest, I wonder if you could beat me this week. I think you potentially could beat me.
Well, I haven't got a return yet.
No, you haven't.
I haven't got 2 points yet.
No.
So we'll see how we go. I'm a bit of a 1 point merchant.
Yeah, you are. I can see Semenyo getting a goal, though, and like Minter getting an assist. That's what I kind of can see happening. So I think you'll beat me this week. But, you know...
I reckon hat-trick.
What, for Semenyo?
Yeah.
Wow. Against Chelsea?
I reckon he breaks the record for most goals scored in one game in the Premier League.
In a single game?
Yeah.
What is that
6,
record?
5.
Oh, yeah, like what? Aguero? Yeah.
And Suarez, I want to say.
That sounds like a Suarez thing to do.
Yeah, maybe Aguero. Definitely Aguero.
But you think
Double
Semenyo's
hat-trick.
going to beat that? Yeah, we'll be talking in the same vein. Suarez, Aguero.
Semenyo.
Imagine. All right, let's wrap up with our teams. I'm going to do mine first because it's quite boring for me this week. So my team is as follows. Henderson in goal, defence of Robertson, Alexander-Arnold and Gvardiol. Midfield, Eze, Saka, Diogo Jota and Rodgers. Up front, we've got Haaland, Isak, Muniz. And at present, we've got Smith Rowe on the bench with a bunch of other duds. I actually ended up taking your advice last week. And well, obviously, I looked into it and the data and stuff and did all the nerdy stuff after. But you kind of sparked a flame in me. You said to me last week, you are currently betting against the Arsenal defence, continue to bet against the Arsenal defence, and maybe just go Robertson. So that's exactly what I did. And it seems like that's quite fashionable now. The double Liverpool defence seems to be coming into fashion. So it's nice to be there ahead of time. Captain for me is Haaland, vice captain Eze. I think I'm Gucci. I don't think I need to change anything, to be honest.
Yeah, rolling transfer.
Yep.
Interesting benching decision though.
Yeah, it has to be one of Smith Rowe, Muniz, or Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
It's a 3-way coin toss,
Yeah.
if such a thing exists. And I just followed the predicted points, to be honest. But I'm open to changing my mind. Would you? I guess you bench Muniz because you're not really liking him. But the thing is, Smith Rowe's data is just like not good. So that's why I've benched
I
him.
don't know. Maybe I'll consider benching Rodgers.
The only thing is, if Branthwaite is still out for Everton, I feel like, and if maybe Duran starts ahead of Watkins, who maybe is a little sharper at the moment.
Duran's not going to start ahead of Watkins.
What, in game week 4?
Yeah.
If Watkins has got that injury issue we were speaking about.
But he doesn't.
Yeah. What if he does?
But he doesn't.
All right. But okay, alternatively, if Watkins has 2 weeks to recover from whatever issue that he did have, and he did have an issue, then again, maybe it's going to be a bit sharp.
And played every game.
Yeah.
He was injured
Yes.
and played 3 games consecutively where he played 60 minutes.
Yeah, and that's why he wasn't completing games.
He might have had an issue.
Yeah.
That issue is not serious enough to stop him from playing football.
No, you're quite right, but
That issue is not suddenly going to stop him after 2 weeks rest from playing
yeah, but
game week 4.
it can settle down after time. Yeah, but even if he does play, what I'm saying is that like he's going to have that rest behind him now, which could be a positive thing. And it could be a positive thing for Rodgers. And Everton are terrible so far, really bad.
Everton are so bad.
And
I
West,
can't believe they lost the game in the last 10 minutes.
yeah, I know. 3 goals conceded in what 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that.
84th minute, I think they were still 2-0 up.
It's mental,
Mad.
absolutely mental.
Mad.
But then there you go, Everton doing classic Everton. We got classic pre-Dyche Everton back. Classic Everton. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's do your team because I don't think I'm doing anything to my team this week. We're rolling, baby. Go on, Em. Who you got?
So I have Raya in goal. In defense, I've got Gvardiol, Rico Lewis, and Daniel Munoz. And then in midfield, I've got Bukayo Saka, Diogo Jota, Anthony Gordon, and Rodgers, and also Smith Rowe. And up front, Haaland, captain, and Alexander Isak up front. On the bench, not in the bench. In the bench also. But
Depends
I've got
how you look at it.
yeah. I've got Lumley, I've got Hall, I've got Solanke, and I've got Ben Johnson. So I've got one playing bench option.
And who's your playing bench option?
Johnson.
Is he?
He started last game, no?
Don't think so.
Did he not?
No, I think I think he only started one that game this season. That was against
Give me 2.
Man City. But I will just double check that very, very quickly.
Got the assist as well.
Yeah, 0 minutes in game week 3 against
So
Fulham.
I've got no starting bench options.
You have 0 bench. Well, I mean, Hall
doesn't start.
Well, he didn't start last 2 game weeks, but that might have been a tactical thing. To be fair, getting that that height against Spurs and
Who needs
Bournemouth.
height against Spurs? They're the worst at set pieces.
Exactly. So if you have an extra big man, then maybe in the attacking set pieces you can maybe pinch something there. So I'm just speculating, of course.
Good shout.
But I wonder if that was the case and we could see Hall come back in.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Hall is out of favour. Like he's coming on in games every game to try and change games that aren't working for Newcastle. So I don't think he is done as an FPL asset, but of course you will be cautious about him.
Yeah, and the fixtures going to start turning soon, so we need him to get his spot back. But I mean, at the moment, he's not going to be starting anytime soon, so I'm not fussed.
You got any planned transfers? Because you rolled last week, right?
I rolled last week. I currently have 2 free transfers.
Yeah.
At the moment, the plan is to continue to roll my transfer. I'm gonna keep Solanke on the bench for 1 more week, and people like sold in game week 1. Like I was so far ahead of the curve that I'll have him for game week 5 when they've got Brentford and then Manchester United.
Yeah, to be fair.
I mean, I expect Solanke to return against Arsenal, right? Not return as a
come back to the starting
11. But yeah, I mean, I kind of want to just give him a shot again. He's only had 1 sort of fixture this season, and I kind of want to give him a shot. If I do sell him, I don't know where to. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to sell from my team. I can't. I'm happy with the team.
Yeah.
The only issue that I have is I don't have enough Liverpool.
Well, you don't. When I looked at your team, when I was making the graphics for this episode, the first thing I thought was, what do you do in game week 5 where you've got 3 Man City players and 2 Arsenal players facing against each other? Is that... I mean, you'll have 3 free transfers by that point.
Well, one of them is a goalkeeper, so that's not really an issue.
Okay, that's fair.
So I've got 2 Man City defenders and Haaland.
Okay.
So
and Saka.
And obviously Saka. So I was going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
So I've got 2 Man City defenders and I've got Haaland. Haaland is not a problem. The 2 Man City defenders, in theory, shouldn't be a problem because one of them will get the bench if I either get Hall back or if I replace Hall.
Okay. Yeah.
So that brings me down to 2 Man City players, a goalkeeper. Fair enough. He is still in the team, but it's a goalkeeper.
I'm not. Forget the goalkeeper. You are right.
Yeah.
It's a goalkeeper, right?
And then finally Saka, who could become Palmer by then.
Ooh. When are you wildcarding?
I don't have a date.
Right. Wait, so you're going to sell Saka before Man City, and then he plays Leicester at home, Southampton at home.
It's possible.
Would you then reverse it?
What,
the game week after?
After 1 game?
Yeah.
No. So it's possible. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. Like
okay, it's just like something you're thinking about.
Yeah, like Palmer. I want to get Palmer into my team because this whole this whole no Salah malarkey only works if I have enough of these better midfield options. And Solanke's was causing the problem. I mean, I could do Solanke down to João Pedro, which gives me 1.8 million, but I still can't buy Palmer from any of the other midfielders.
No, you can't.
And I want Saka and Palmer, really, in an ideal world.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to wildcard in Game Week 7, I could do Palmer in now. But
could you do like a? Would you be willing to sacrifice a Gvardiol for a Robertson, or maybe? Yeah, because
so I was on FPL Juice for Planet FPL James, right?
Yeah,
and he joked. So he wasn't as sure as me that he actually thought that Rico Lewis wouldn't keep his spot.
Okay,
and I strongly disagreed with him. But we joked. The moment I sell Gvardiol to Robertson, Rico Lewis is going to lose his spot.
Yeah.
And I have no Man City.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
But I think but you have...
I don't know. I don't like Gvardiol. I'll be very honest with you. I think Gvardiol is going to get benched in the next 3 game weeks.
It is possible.
I genuinely think Ake or Kyle Walker is going to come in. But...
totally feasible. I have got a suggested transfer for you, but it's
then.
not for this week.
Go on then.
Because this is a move I'm making in game week 6, which is Isak down to Havertz.
Down? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Havertz is cheaper. Because that's the week where Isak plays against Man City, but that's when Arsenal's like good run of fixtures turns up.
Yeah.
So like I've been pretty conscious about making sure I save an Arsenal slot and then don't... You know, a lot of people selling Isak to fund the Salah move, but if you hold on to Isak, he's like the perfect switch in game week 6. But that's only for people who aren't wildcarding in 6.
No, I love that.
It's a good move, isn't it? For people who aren't wildcarding in 6,
I love that.
It works.
I love that. And I do really like Havertz at the moment.
He looks good, man.
Really like Havertz
Really good.
So Isak to Havertz could be a game week 6. So that's 2 game weeks from now.
Yeah.
By then, I could have like 4 or 5 transfers. I mean,
I would work on the assumption that you are going to make that move.
Okay. So let's assume that's going to happen. So that's 0.4 back. No, but the problem is, like, do I keep Solanke is the first question.
I mean, where do you go?
That's my problem.
You could go, like, this week to João Pedro and then maybe bench one of Rodgers or Smith Rowe. That is what would happen, right?
If I couldn't roll, what would I do here?
If you couldn't roll, what I would do is I would probably do exactly that. Solanke to João Pedro and bench one of Rodgers or Smith Rowe. And then that would free up a little bit of money to maybe do something with Gordon? Maybe?
Before Wolves and Fulham?
We wouldn't have to do it this week, but you know, you could have that money ready to do something with Gordon in game week 6 when they play City, potentially. Yeah. I mean, I don't even love Fulham away, to be fair.
Yeah, no, good point.
But it just give you a little bit of play money to do something with later.
Yeah. The players that I wish I had are Cole Palmer, Semenyo, Trent or Robertson.
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, Mo Salah.
Well, Solanke down to João Pedro funds Gvardiol to Trent.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
And you would still be able to do the Isak to Havertz move because Havertz is cheaper than Isak.
But how does Palmer come into the team?
Well, he probably doesn't because you want Saka you at least want Saka in 6 and 7. You could maybe do away with him against Bournemouth. Certainly 9, 10, 11 aren't that great for Saka. He plays Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. So maybe at that point you go Palmer?
I don't get where the money is. The money's in Solanke.
Yeah, exactly. The money's in Solanke. You downgrade him. You improve your team for this week, certainly, and you just have like more options to do something.
I need to find 3 million.
Okay.
3.2 million.
For what?
To do Gordon to Palmer. That's what I need to do.
3.2 million. Well, you're not doing that in one transfer.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to do it in one
or
transfer.
Even 2.
So, Solanke down to João Pedro gives me 1.8.
Mm-hmm.
Then Isak down to Havertz gives me 0.4.
This is assuming prices don't change.
Yeah, let's assume for now. 0.4, so that gives me 2.2. So I still need to find 1 million from somewhere.
Like Gvardiol down to a 4.5 would be my only suggestion. But do you want that defense?
No.
Would you be tempted to downgrade Raya? Probably not. No.
No chance.
Yeah, or Gordon down to
I'm selling Gordon to Palmer.
Oh yeah.
It'd have to be Jota.
Jota down to Kudus when his fixture swing. Could you do Mbeumo? Not really.
Wait,
What?
why couldn't I do Mbeumo?
Well, you could, but it wouldn't free up enough money. And Mbeumo's 7 million, right?
I need $1 million, don't I?
Yeah, you need to find $1 million still. But
You know
Jota
what?
would be that player I'd maybe remove.
Maybe this team does need a wild card.
I don't think so. I don't think so for this week.
No, not this week, but soon. Because my sort of idea was to run it through till game week. I don't know, Christmas basically.
Okay. Wishful thinking, but I mean, you got to try, right?
Yeah, like why not? Like, I don't know, but there's so many players that I want that I can't have, and it makes it so difficult. Like I'm like $1 million basically short of getting Cole Palmer, which is very frustrating. So yeah,
But that's why people use the wild card, is to try and fix structural issues, right?
yeah.
So it's like totally understandable. Like the people, like some people are like saying, "Oh, you shouldn't wild card. Your team actually looks quite good." But if your team looks good, but your structure isn't quite right, you can kind of resolve that with a wild card, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think you don't need a wild card this week, certainly.
No, I definitely don't need a wild card this week. I think you're right. During that City Arsenal game week 5.
Well, you could punt on a bunch of players in game week 5, like replace your City and Arsenal players in game week 5, and then wild card in 6. That would work because you have the transfers.
Asking for trouble though, innit?
Maybe.
Asking for trouble. Punting out Sakas and Haalands and Gvardiol's and stuff like that. It's tricky. Right, we've been talking for too long, Daniel. We've been talking for too
Let's
long.
wrap it up. Right, there we go, guys. Podcast done for game week 4. So there's not going to be an episode next week because I'm away. So this is the game week 4 episode. So sorry, guys, about that. We'll be back to normal every Tuesday from next week. But international breaks is the only real time for FPL content creators to have a little break on holiday, really.
Get a bit of sleep. Maybe get a haircut.
That's booked for Friday, my friend.
Get rid of the mullet.
No, that's not going anywhere. That's not going in for anywhere. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Like we mentioned earlier, if you wouldn't mind like dropping a like, a rating, subscribing or following, depending on where you're watching or listening to this, it is massively appreciated and it genuinely really does help us out as well. So please do that. And Sim actually absolutely hates it when I do this. I'm going to ask him for some final words and he's not going to have anything to say, as always. Go on then, mate.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. Please send Dan hate about his hair.
No,
because that brings me joy. tell him it looks like he should be banned from 100 meters near schools.
Right, that's too far. You haven't even mentioned the mustache yet. Right, thank you guys for watching another episode of Stick to FPL. We'll be back for game week 5 in a Tuesday or so, and we'll see you later.
Salute.
Bye bye.